Well, I'm back in Shrewsbury having a look at another old disused railway line. This time I'm discovering the line that went from Shrewsbury down through Pontesbury down to Minsterley. Now the Shrewsbury to Minsterley line initially came south down on the Ludlow line, and I'm at the point where you can see the start of the Severn Valley Railway, which would have run just down underneath the bridge where I am now. Now if I go to the south side of the bridge, we can see the Ludlow line down to Hereford directly in front, and to the right is the start of the Welshpool Line. This of course is also the Minsterley line, because this would have run as far as Hamwood and then down through Pontesbury to Minsterley. This was all part of a big plan to have two lines into Wales, one down through Minsterley to Montgomery and then from Hamwood over to Welshpool. Well, of course the Welshpool line is still running, but the line down to Minsterley never went any further, so the second line into mid Wales to Montgomery just never happened. Now the interesting thing about this section is that the Minsterley line was finished first in 1861, so actually this only became the Welshpool line as it stands today a year later. So in the first year this actually was the branch line to Minsterley to the right, not the branch line to Welshpool. Let's take a look at the route. The line came out of Shrewsbury down what's now the Welshpool line, but of course originally this was the Minsterley line, and it came to Hamwood. Just past Hamwood is Crookmeal, and the Minsterley line was built down into Pontesbury and then across into Minsterley. If we go back to Crookmeal, you'll see the existing Welshpool line, which was built a year later, runs here and is still running here and existing today. Now I've just come to the other side of Hamwood, and it's just in the distance there on the left hand side where the Minsterley line started, with the Welshpool line going to the right and the Minsterley line to the left. Now the Minsterley line was completed in 1861, and the spur to the right in the distance to Welshpool was completed a year later. I suspect now there's very little left of the spur to the left down to Minsterley. How different that would have been if the line had been completed all the way to Montgomery. This is Crookmeal, and it's here at Crookmeal we have the junction between the Minsterley line and the Welshpool line. Well, this is the Welshpool line at Crookmeal looking towards Shrewsbury. And this is now looking west towards Welshpool. And about 50 yards down the track on the left hand side is the start of the Minsterley line. Well, I've moved up the line a few yards towards Welshpool, and you can see directly ahead of us the start of the Minsterley line. So this is exactly where the junction was, just in that gap between the trees. Now I've zoomed in and you can see the gap between the trees where the Minsterley line started. Well, I'll come about a mile down the track looking southeast towards Pontesbury. Now the first station on the Minsterley spur is Plealey Road. Now this is about a mile southwest of the start of the line from the Welshpool line. Now this picture isn't dated, but the station looks in a little bit of state of disrepair, but it would have been before it was shut, because the line was pulled up immediately after the line was closed. And this is the same scene now, and I'm looking northeast, and the line came along here, across where the road is, and the station buildings are now a private residence. By the turn of the century this line was actually quite well used, and there was up to 7 journeys each way every day. However, by 1919 competition from bus companies started to have an impact on the frequency of these trains. Passenger numbers started to fall, and unfortunately so did the frequency of the daily trains. By 1922 the line saw more mixed use with freight and passengers to try and make it more economical, and also the war years also saw more use of the line. Ironically, there was more passenger use on the line in the wartime because of petrol shortages made the bus companies cut their services down, and for a period of time the railway had a new lease of life. However, after the war it was very difficult for the railway company to keep its passenger numbers, and it finally fell to competition in February 1951 when the line was closed. Now this closure in February 51 wasn't just down to competition with the bus companies, it was also down to a coal strike and shortage of coal. Both factors contributed to the inevitable closure of the line. However, despite the passenger services closing, freight traffic carried on for another 16 years until 1967. The line was finally pulled up in 1973.